Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah. Wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. Welcome everybody to the Safina Society Nothing But Facts live stream on a Wednesday in the great state of New Jersey, in which it's cloudy outside. And it's, I don't know if it's, what would you just, I don't even know if it's cold or not. I don't know. I can't tell you if it's cold or not. It's one of those weird vibes where I guess we're wearing jackets, but I don't know if it's cold. And that's where the people talk about global warming, like warm air comes in and warm air goes out, or cold air comes in. Who knows? But in any event, our little shop is getting there. And as I said earlier, our store is going towards Umrah for Youth. Okay. Our online store, which we're getting going, is going for Umrah for Youth. That's what we're, SafinaSociety.shop. www.safinasociety.shop.
You know, today's perfect hoodie weather, actually.
This is serious hoodie weather. And this is one of the nicest hoodie material that I have. Like the feeling of this on this thingy. Almost about to fire it up right now. Actually, fire up only that part, only the hoodies. Go back into. Yeah. Oh, you got the whole website. So let's go through the website. Let's see how many colors we got. So we got plum on white. What else we got? Keep going, and that's what it looks like.
So this is just.
We got plum on white, and then we got white on black.
It's only two colors, I think, so far.
What about black on white? That should be there.
As of now, it seems like we have two options. But I'm sending it in the chat, the link.
If you are a patron at Patreon, don't get it from here. Wait till we give you your patrons discount first. So patrons, if you're from Patreon, wait. Okay? Wait. Yeah, you can go and become a patron and you get special discounts. So, but this hoodie is meant for Umrah for Youth. Okay, all of the revenue from these hoodies go there, because I've been thinking, first of all, we had a store before. Merchandise, it doesn't make you money unless you sell millions upon millions of garments, right? So I don't care about that. So I figured we canceled the store. But now it's up and running. It's going to be better little by little, but also most importantly, our use of the store is to go towards Umrah for Youth. We're also going to be coming out with a partnership between us and Basmala Beads for a Safina Society designed misbah. Also will go towards Umrah for Youth. Okay. So that'll come out later on. But right now, it's this gorgeous Nothing But Facts hoodie, which was inspired from the introduction. If you look at the introduction of our live stream, there's a scene that has like a palm tree and a setting sun. Such a pretty scene, isn't it? And the beach is really like, it's literally one of the nicest, prettiest creations of Allah. So you just sit there all day and all night, just looking at the water, listening to the water. The feeling of like immenseness. Let's show this black one, which is really nice. Here's the black one. Oh, that is a proper hoodie right there. Right? You want to be seen in ShopRite wearing this, walking around, go to high school, going to college.
It's really comfy, actually.
Yeah.
I wearing it the last few days.
No, it's really comfy.
Like a baby.
Really comfy. Let's do the Wednesday dhikr and dua. Ya Jama'at al-Khair, never leave off your dua. Ever, ever, ever. Losing hope is not allowed. Not an option. Just keep going. Just do one more day. Put it in. And everything is like that. Everything in life is just give it one more day. See what happens. You have a bad day, don't make any decisions. Just sleep it off. Don't think about it. You have a bad day, your matter is looking out of hand or it's not going to work. Don't think about it. Leave it for the day. Go to sleep. Distract yourself from it. Next day, give it another shot. You may need to forget about it for a week. You may need to forget about it for a month. All right. Just get back to it later, right? That's what you got to, that's a way to achieve anything in life. You have a complete bombshell disaster. All right. You got to just sleep it off. Keep living, move on. Then when the dust settles, get right back at it. And that's how you do it. لا إله إلا الله الملك الحق المبين 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 بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنا فتحنا لك فتحا مبينا ليغفر لك الله ما تقدم من ذنبك وما تأخر ويتم نعمته عليك ويهديك صراطا مستقيما وينصرك الله نصرا عزيزا وكان عند الله وجيها في الدنيا والآخرة ومن المقربين وجهت وجهي للذي فطر السماوات والأرض بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نصر من الله فتح قريب بشر المؤمنين يا أيها الذين آمنوا كونوا أنصار الله كما قال عيسى ابن مريم الحواريين من أنصاري إلى الله قال الحواريون نحن أنصار الله الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض من ذا الذي يشفع عنده إلا بإذنه يعلم ما بين أيديهم وما خلفهم ولا يحيطون بشيء من علمه إلا بما شاء وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض ولا يؤود حفظهما وهو العلي العظيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لو أنزلنا هذا القرآن على جبل لرأيته خاشعا متصدعا من خشية الله وتلك الأمثال نضربها للناس لعلهم يتفكرون هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو عالم الغيب والشهادة هو الرحمن الرحيم هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الملك القدوس السلام المؤمن المهيمن العزيز الجبار المتكبر سبحان الله عما يشركون هو الله الخالق البارئ المصور له الأسماء الحسنى يسبح له ما في السماوات والأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم أعيذ نفسي بالله تعالى من كل ما يسمع بأذنين ويبصر بعينين ويمشي برجلين ويبطش بيدين ويتكلم بشفتين حصنت نفسي بالله الخالق الأكبر من شر ما أخاف وأحذر من الجن والإنس وأن يحضرون عز جاره وجل ثناؤه وتقدست أسماؤه ولا إله غيره اللهم إني أجعلك في نهور أعدائي وأعوذ بك من شرورهم وتهيلهم ومكرهم ومكائدهم أطفئ النار من أراد بعداوة من الجن والإنس يا حافظ يا حفيظ يا كافي يا محيط سبحانك يا رب ما أعظم شأنك وعز سلطانك تحصنت بالله وبأسماء الله وبآيات الله وملائكة الله وأنبياء الله ورسل الله والصالحين من عباد الله حصنت نفسي بلا إله إلا هو إلا الله محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم اللهم احرسني بعينك التي لا تنام وكنفنا بكنفك الذي لا يرام وارحمنا بقدرتك علينا فلا نهلك وأنت اتقتنا ورجاؤنا وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه والحمد لله رب العالمين ظاهر we skipped something okay. يا غياث المستغيثين يا غياث المستغيثين يا غياث المستغيثين يا دارك الهالكين يا دارك الهالكين يا دارك الهالكين اكفني شر كل طارق يطرق بليل أو نهار إلا طارق يطرق بخير إنك على كل شيء قدير بسم الله أرقي نفسي من كل ما يؤذي ومن كل حاسد الله شفائي بسم الله رقيت اللهم رب الناس أذهب الباس اشفي أنت الشافي وعافي أنت المعافي لا شفاء إلا شفاءك شفاء لا يغادر سقما ولا ألما يا كافي يا وافي يا حميد يا مجيد ارفع عني كل تعب شديد واكفني من الحدي والحديد والمرض الشديد والجيش العديد واجعل لي نورا من نورك وعز من عزك ونصرا من نصرك وبهاء من بهائك وعطاء من عطائك وحراسة من حراستك وتأييدا من تأييدك يا ذا الجلال والإكرام والمواهب العظام أسألك أن تكفيني من شر كل ذي شر إنك أنت الله الخالق الأكبر وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين ظاهرا وباطنا وكل حال يا أرحم الراحمين. دعاء. صلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين ظاهرا وباطنا وعلى كل حال. Omar, fire up Maliki Fiqh QA. Now some people wondering why we do this dua. It's because on Wednesday between Dhuhr and Asr, the Prophet received the ijabah of his dua. At the battle of Al-Khandaq, when the Muslims were really reaching their end of their patience and their sabr. So he received the answer to his prayer on that day. And that's why we make that dua. All right. Go to the top one there. Nope, next one. Yeah, that one. The question is, what is the ruling in the Maliki school on wearing a belt over your ihram? Okay. Wearing a belt in ihram for the purpose of holding your ihram up is forbidden. And one who does this is required to make tawbah and pay fidyah. The only exception is if they're working such a job that would make their izar fall off. The izar is the lower garment. An example, you're unloading luggage. So for that moment, you're up and down from the back of the truck onto the onto the road, back and forth. You can put an izar, a belt around your izar just because you're working. But as soon as you remove that, you're done with that, you remove such a belt. As for a belt that is what they call the ihram belt, that carries your passport or your money, maybe probably not your passport, but your money, your ID, your what have you. If it's a necklace ID, you may wear it, and better off put it in your belt. Okay? That belt can be worn around your body or across your chest, but it may not be used to hold up either your top or bottom of the ihram. Scroll to the picture, Omar. So you see this? You may wear such a belt across or over, but it should over your belly button or across your chest, but it shall not be for the purpose of holding up your ihram. That's it. That's how simple it is. Okay? So that's our little fiqh discussion point. Yeah. All right. Today we're going to talk about parents. What is the all right. Somebody brought this to my attention. In the 1960s, there was a practice called swinger Satanism. It's basically Shaitan's method of getting the hearts dark. And basically, husbands and wives, they would just like swap, basically. Guys would swap wives. And it's all zina. That zina it's an attempt to darken the heart so shaitan could access your heart. It's like a magnet. If there's a positive and you're negative, they'll have an attraction. So shaitan only attracts towards sins and najasa. The heart that doesn't have sins and najasa, the heart that doesn't have sins in it, and the body that doesn't have najasa, shaitan has a very difficult time getting to. And if it's the opposite, then angels do have an easy time whispering good things to that person. So somebody sent me this and said, please publicize this and warn everybody. I'm going to read it. This is a Facebook. A prominent imam in Chicago and another practicing Muslim informed me. So this is Khabar Ahad, and the person is unknown or unnamed, majhul. Okay? That there is now a practice called chabbi parties happening in the Muslim community. I'm not going to say the ethnicity so nobody thinks I'm picking on them. Married couples come to a home. The men put their keys in a bowl. Women randomly put their hand in the bowl and draw out a key. So, for example, if it's a BMW key, okay, she then goes and hangs out with the owner of that car. Okay, so it's going to be one of the guests, essentially. All right. That's very odd that people would do this. Okay, but essentially, if such a thing is actually happening, right? I mean, this is a prominent Muslim sent this to me, who knows how to fact check. I'm not going to read the rest of it, but you get the idea. Shadee. Yeah. 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 Yep. Shadee. Okay.
I feel there's a few random people that did it, and then is this really a thing that's happening?
I can't fathom it myself.
The Muslim community has
I can't fathom myself. But you go and look. My body was sent to me as a. So that's why. Okay, we're reading it, but we've also put where it is. We didn't say it's a fact. We said that two people are narrating it. Both are majhul, but a prominent person is sending it to me. Please warn everybody, tell that this is haram. I guess we all know it's haram, right? Nobody doesn't know that that's unlawful, but just for the sake of forbidding something that's wrong, at least we've done our part in that. Let's get to Birrul Walidain. What's the title of this live stream? Some people have a question on Birrul Walidain. At what point do I not have to obey them? Well, put it simply, go by the sacred law. If something is obligatory and they're telling you not to do it, not only is it permitted for you to disobey them, it's obligatory for you to do what your Lord has obligated and avoid and not obey them. If they're commanding you to do something forbidden, obviously same thing. You're obligated to disobey them. Not possibly, obligated. All right? You're obligated. What about if he's telling me not to do a sunnah? Or, the opposite end of the spectrum, to do something makruh. In that case, you try to do the sunnah privately. So let's say your father comes and says, let's go praying Fajr right now. No sunnah for you. I want to go back to sleep. So in that case, you would pray Fajr with him, and then you could make up that sunnah after the sun's risen. That's an example. Brothers are saying, what chai is ajib? You always say chai ajib. Shay ajib. Shay ajib. A strange thing. Shay ajib. And this brother really wants to know where is Allah Ta'ala according to the Ash'ari. Allah in the aqeedah of all Muslims, we reject something called hulul. Hulul. Hulul is for the Creator to enter into His creation. Why is that? If God entered His creation, then that is a type of, does that make Him more perfect or less perfect or nothing, right? So can you put an infinity into a finite set? Let's say I have a set from 1 to 1,000, or 1 to 200 to 100 billion, or 1 to Google. Isn't Google a number? Whatever a closed set, can infinity fit in that set? You can't go into that set. So al-baqi, al-azali, al-qadim, it is inconceivable for the infinite to enter or to be equal to what is finite. And notice we say inconceivable, not impossible, because you're basically no longer infinite. So what is inconceivable is two opposite things. Square circle is an inconceivable thing. For the infinite, for the qadim and baqi and azali, infinite, no beginning, no end, no limits. To now have limits, you essentially are asking, you're negating the creator at that point. You're negating his essential attributes. So we say that the creator never enters his creation. And the creator, to have a location, will require, in our conception of things, to have a jism. It's our conception of things. For the creator to be in a location, has to have a body. Because locations essentially are the places of bodies. That's what a location is, if that's you're asking. So therefore, the creator is transcendent beyond having locations. And his ulu is ulu al-manzila. His highness is his highness of his rank as the creator. Superiority. Not a highness of ajsam. And there's no two Muslims will disagree on the negation of a body or a jism for the creator. All right, let's get back to this tafsir. So you would be recommended to hide that behavior from your parent. What if I can't hide it? Such as a beard. My beard is fard in some madhabs and sunnah in the other, and makruh to shave it in some, and haram to shave it in some. The Shafi'iyya have the most, they do not obligate the beard. They hold it to be a sunnah. And they hold shaving it to be makruh. So what happens if my father were to tell me that? Then as long as there is a madhab out there in which you can possibly fit both, following your father and not fulfilling a prohibition or an obligation, then you would follow that. But once you become independent, then you no longer have to follow that. So you're a working man, you're a doctor and a surgeon, and your dad just doesn't like the fact that you have a beard. Well, khalas, you're an independent man. There's no obedience there. So he asked this question because Surah Luqman is all about this. Anishkur lillah wa ma yashkur fa innama yashkuru li nafsih. Be grateful to Allah. What's the difference between hamd and shukr? Hamd is to thank the creator by praising him. Shukr is to be grateful for a gift by using it in its proper location and benefiting others by it. That's the difference between hamd and shukr, according to one of the breakdowns. Okay? Anishkur lillahi wa ma yashkur fa innama yashkuru li nafsihi. When you practice shukr, you are benefiting yourselves. If you want the increase of a blessing, you need to give shukr for that. You want more money? Give out money. There's a lot of salihin, they say when they're in need of money, the first thing they do is give more money. Go give some more sadaqah. Yeah. Is there a sister kids section if we visit New Jersey to see NBF? And we've been listening since NBF 37. Amazing. So what we can arrange, if that's the thing, to have some of one of our maharim here and the sister can sit there, or if it's some of our locals can come so that you're not the only sister here. And the studio, sometimes it's me and Omar, sometimes it's me, Omar, and like 10 guys. So it depends. And it's pretty small space, so, and a very small entry too. So we can arrange it though, inshallah, no problem. Bring one of the maharim here, and at least you won't be all alone. And especially if you have children, inshallah, maybe we bring some other children here. He continues and he says, وَإِذْ قَالَ لُقْمَانُ لِابْنِهِ وَهُوَ يَعِظُهُ. Luqman is giving his son advice, and Allah Ta'ala broadcasts this advice to the entire ummah by placing these words in the Quran. يَا بُنَيَّ لَا تُشْرِكْ بِاللَّهِ إِنَّ الشِّرْكَ لَظُلْمٌ عَظِيمٌ. So here's a funny question people ask. Well, it's not funny, it's a good question. Well, is this Luqman's words first or Allah's words first? So for that, we have to go to a very simple basic point of Aqidah. There's nothing that exists at all except it is the will of Allah Ta'ala, and it is known to Allah pre-eternally. Then He manifests it on the tongue of Luqman before revealing it in the Quran. Of course, the Quran is written in the Lawh al-Mahfuz, as is the action of Luqman. So Allah Ta'ala manifests both words, the same words. And it could be, of course, Luqman didn't speak Arabic. Saying that Luqman spoke a different language. So it's the Arabic, the Quran is in Arabic, and the Luqman's words were this meaning in his own language. All right? But ultimately, the Aqidah of all events, every single thing that happens is by the will of Allah. Therefore, Allah is never reacting to the creation. Oh, that was a good thing. Let me put it in the Quran. La. Okay, it's not like that. All right? Every single thing is by the will of Allah, known to Him from pre-eternity. So someone may say, well, then why should I make dua? Well, because when you receive something after dua, you're receiving a lot more. You're receiving of something, when your dua is answered, you are getting something that has been predestined for you already. But when it's preceded by dua, you're receiving iman, barakah, blessing, protection. So you could receive a wonderful blessing, but it comes back to haunt you. It's bad for you. How many nice, wonderful things turn out to be to cause more harm and pain in your life? Plenty. A lot of examples like that. Right, so, but when something comes to you preceded by dua, that thing that comes to you is now enshrouded with blessing, enshrouded with, covered with all sorts of protection and increase of iman and pleasure of Allah and many other things. And that's why to receive something after dua, yes, you would have received it either way, but not with all the blessings. And that's a difference. And what is blessing? Blessing is that, number one, this thing in your life, this new thing in your life actually makes you happy. Because not everything can make you happy. So many people make a prayer. It doesn't make them happy. They get what you wanted. That's what Leo Tolstoy says in Anna Karenina. For those of you who know your literature, one of the guys at the end of the movie says, I made the mistake that everyone else makes. I thought that getting all my wishes fulfilled would make me happy. So we say about that, if your desires were fulfilled without any remembrance of Allah, neither following Sharia nor praying nor thanking Him, then your wishes will not make you happy. But if you attained all your goals and dreams through submission and prayer and followed it up by recognizing that this was from the Creator and giving it its due, sharing it, being thankful for it, not using it for what's forbidden, then it is a blessing, true blessing that will make you happy in this life and rewarded in the next life. That's the difference. So it's not one or the other, and it could be a gradient. That's why people, when they get married, if you get married through an unlawful means and you're wishing for this marriage for years, and you do it through an unlawful means, to the degree that you disobeyed God in the process, you're going to be unhappy. That's if Allah loves you. Because when Allah loves believers, He removes their sins in this life before the next. Okay? So you're going to receive it either way. And that's what people say. Well, what was the point of making dua? The point was all the blessing out of it. Blessing is to be happy with your ni'mah. It's that a little bit goes a long way. That's the meaning of barakah. A little bit goes a long way. And then you need protection. This thing could be the source of could be the doorway to a lot of hardship. I married the woman of my dreams. Our kids were nightmares. Happens, right? So you don't want anything without divine blessing. You don't want anything without divine protection. So this is the understanding of everything being in the divine will, everything being Allah's creation. Okay. Pringle Single says, can we talk about how to approach marriage, since we did mention marriage here, for a convert woman? Yeah, we'll talk about that. I give you the brief summary of it is that a convert woman would want to have friends in the community who would act as their family almost. And don't think this is new. It's not new. In the old times, when a person entered Islam, he became a mawla. He became associated with one of the Arab tribes. Because at that point, Islam was like 100% Arabs. Now, like a few converts come in, but how do they integrate into that community? You basically get adopted. That's what a mawla is. He's like an adoptee of a tribe. They take care of your affairs insofar as people are needed. Right? When you need other people, those are your people. When you need protection, if you accidentally hurt someone and you have to pay a diya, a financial penalty, they help you pay it. If you want to get married, they help you get married. All those types of things. So I think that we should adopt that here. If you convert in a community, you see who are your friends in that community, and there's no formal agreement to this, but generally you go to them for help, and they become almost akin to an adopted family. Okay, they became akin to your adopted family, and they'll help you get married, help you do everything, help you meet people, etc., etc., etc. All right, we continue on here with the tafsir of Surah Luqman. First thing, do not associate partners with Allah, for this is a severe oppression. What is an oppression of? Am I oppressing God? Yes, it's His right to be worshipped. You gave that right to an idol. Remember, Islam came on the backdrop of idolatry. So idolatry is not just that it's multiple gods. Because I always tell students that, all right, what happens if a Hindu comes and says, all right, I got rid of all the gods and I only worship one God, this idol right here. We have a store here called Patidar. You go in there for the highly selective desi things like Wag Bakri tea. They also sell Sukari dates, the only people in the area. But you go at the end of the register and they're selling many different gods, $9.99 a pop. Okay? And the latest one I saw, and I couldn't believe I had to take a picture of it. The rat god.
What?
Yeah, I'm not kidding you. The rat god. Now, I have some Hindu friends, or I would say associates, that I don't want to offend. So I'm not offending you by this. Because I know that most American Hindus, there's no way you're actually gonna, even if this was like for fun, right? You know, like even if the whole thing is for fun, right? Why would you put a rat statue? And if you believe this is your God, why would you make it out of plastic and sell it for $9.99?
You'd think it'd be more expensive.
I'm telling you, if it's your God, even if it's a symbol of your God. You know, the Umar ibn Khattab, once a man made a mushaf that was small. He had some Quran written on a very small piece of paper. Umar said, La. عظم كتاب الله ومن يعظم شعائر Allah. Write it big. The Quran should be big. We should not have these little barakah masahif. I don't know what to do with this now. How do I recycle this? Okay. So it doesn't make any sense. So let's say a Hindu comes and says, all right, I have one idol. Can I come into the interfaith monotheistic meetings? No, you can't. You're not a monotheist. Why? Because you got the mono part right, but not the theist part. God is transcendent beyond the creation. He is not a created thing. That's the intellect tells you that. The intellect tells you if your God is a thing in the world, He could not have created the world. Because that thing in the world is subject to being composed of matter, is subject to limitations, is subject to gravity, is subject to created things. So it could not have created the whole thing if the rules of creation apply to it. If your God was a really big guy, but that guy, he has limits. He has subject to gravity. He's subject to time. He's subject to place. He's subject to location. If he's subject to those things, how did he create them? If he's subject to these laws of physics, how did he create those laws then? So the creator it's inconceivable, it's contradictory to deem the creator to be subjected to the laws of creation. Can he subject himself? It's inconceivable too. Can he not be himself then? That's what you're asking. Can God not be God? And that would be a lowering of his rank. It's like, can Michael Jordan lose to a high school basketball team? He can't do something. I discovered what he can't do. No, that you've lowered him in that case. He's transcendent beyond creation and all of its limitations. So from both ways, from just the rational way and the moral way. The rational route is to say you're asking if God cannot be God anymore. By saying can he stop being transcendent and become limited. Secondly, the moral way, we say you're asking for him to lower himself. That's not an impossibility in the sense of you say, a negative impossible. Oh, he can't do it. He's limited. That's not a limitation, I should say. It's not a limitation when the transcendent never lowers himself to being limited. You see, this is the Tawheed 101. We call this the mono part, the one God part is Tawheed. But the theist part, to believe in the creator of the universe, not an idol, that's the theist part. We call that Tanzih. Tawheed is not the only doctrine. When we say Tawheed, it includes Tanzih. Tanzih is this is what the religion came for, to negate idolatry in its numbers and its paganism, the number of gods and the nature of the God itself. An intellect would never accept such a God that itself is subjected to the thing that it's purportedly created. How? Just logically speaking. If he's subjected to it, how did he create it in the first place? Hence, the creator is transcendent, and he never enters his creation or comes in the physical form. And that's what the Dajjal does. He comes in a physical form and he tells people, I'm your God. The second thing that Luqman orders his son to do is establish salah. This is the foundations of a good kid. You want to know the foundation of a good kid? We all want a good kid, because Zag is really into this and he says it makes too much sense. He's in pain by how much sense this makes. Tawheed wa tanzih. At-tawheedu wa tanzihu. Zag is in pain for how much sense this makes. He's saying, please stop. You're making too much sense. Okay. And he's also reminding up at the top, he said, don't forget your dua was also destined to. Everything is destined. All right. That's when we talked about the dua before. So if you want to have a good kid, the ingredients of a good kid is number one, that kid has to believe in Allah. And when you teach kids about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you teach them Tawheed and Tanzih. And this makes logical sense. Let's just go to the Indian store and see why we are monotheists. Does it make any sense? That there is even, okay, the rat god, he's a symbol. Symbol of what? A huge rat? I'm not going to, and don't say, oh, you're talking about Hinduism, you haven't studied, and I'm not going to study it, right? Certain things, the moment you see one ingredient in it, I'm not looking, I'm not studying, and don't tell me, don't talk about Hinduism when you haven't studied it, and I'm not going to study it. What I've seen is enough. The idolatry we've all seen is enough. Don't now come with gymnastics telling us that, no, there's more to it. It's symbolic. It's really intelligent, really smart. If it's really intelligent, why is it producing stupidity? I'm sorry to tell you that. Without, again, not to insult any of my Hindu associates. And I have in the community here a couple people I do some business with that are Hindus. And I don't want to insult them. I don't insult them. And I can guarantee you there is no way This rational being in front of me actually believes this. It's just culture for them. It's just culture. And that's not to say that we're allowed to just do anything that's culture, but for them, I can guarantee you, they don't believe in it. It's just culture for them. Okay?
It's like someone tells you 1 + 1 is 3. Read this 204-page paper.
Exactly. I'm not reading a tome, a book. Or I tell you about the Trinity, what Omar just said. I'll tell you what Catholics will say and what they will not say. They'll say it has an explanation. I guarantee you what they will not say is, oh my gosh, this sets my mind at ease. They will never say that. If your number one doctrine doesn't set your mind at ease, then what will? Right? What will? But go to any Muslim and says, what is this? There's one God. He's not like the creation. He did not enter into the form of Jesus. And I talk to him directly. I don't need to go to a priest. And all I got to do is Muhammad is the prophet. I got to pray and fast. And there's no church. There's no organization I have to sign up with. There's no one I have to check in with. Well, this is wonderful. This sets my life at ease, right? Sets my mind at ease. Guarantee you, you will not find one priest or Catholic theologian. And again, I do have some Catholic associates, more Hindus here in this area than Catholics. And I'm not meaning to offend you guys. You know, the more people you know, the less you can say because you're going to offend somebody that you know, unfortunately. But not one of them will say, this doctrine sets my mind at ease. The number of people who say that, 0. But that's what they say when they read Surah Al-Ikhlas, which negates 8 kinds of shirk and kufr. In 4 ayahs? قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدُ اللَّهُ الصَّمَدُ لَمْ يَلِدْ وَلَمْ يُولَدْ وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ. That's it. They say, oh, it sets my mind at ease. It does. All right, what do we do then about the verses and a hadith that would seem to imply that God is in the universe moving around? Okay? Such as the Prophet ﷺ was 2 bows lengths away from God. Or that God comes down to the sky of the earth in the last third of every night. And he asks, who's seeking forgiveness? Who is... Well, in the same way that you're going to interpret away ignorance from God. When Allah says, who is seeking forgiveness? Who out here needs anything? Do you think it implies God's ignorance? You can't say that, right? You have to negate that. Therefore, you must say it is an expression of enticing people to seek forgiveness. God is looking to give forgiveness to people. Do you think he doesn't know? So just as you interpret that part, you believe in it, we believe in it, number one. We negate what is inconceivable for the Creator based on the Creator's own words. Based on the Creator's own words, he is Al-Alim. He knows everything, right? So he clearly is, that question is not based on ignorance. Likewise, the other part, the Creator coming into the universe is called hulul. We negate that. So what does it mean? Well, Malik said it's an angel that comes down, or his affair that comes down, or his command that comes down. It is something that is not the essence of God entering the universe, because that's called hulul, and that's the Christian belief that God entered into Jesus. So that's how we interact with the verses that would seem to negate the transcendence of God beyond the universe and its creation and its laws and everything else. That's basically called التنزيه صرف المعنى عن ظاهره. Anything else we need to add on that, Omar? Yeah. قال number 2. You teach your kid Tawheed. You teach your kid Tawheed involves Nubuwwah too. Why does it involve Nubuwwah? We wouldn't even know God's name without prophethood. Risala, prophethood, revelation is hand in hand with belief in God. You would not even know that. It's amazing. Someone says, what if I believe in God but no prophets and I'm really good to people? Do I still go to paradise? How do you even know paradise exists? How do you even know what good is? But why would you even believe that paradise exists unless a prophet told you, right? You're taking the remnants of what you know about prophets and God. All right. And revelation. You wouldn't even know God's name. that his name is Allah. You wouldn't even know what a good deed is. And you have no reason to believe in life after death if you use your reason alone. Reason is a wonderful thing, but revelation is where you're going to learn everything. Really, revelation is the Muslim, once he is fully established, then he can defend his faith against the attacks of atheists and Christians and everyone else. Then he should really immerse himself in hadith, in revelation, in that element of the religion, the transmission element of the religion. That's all you need. And when you go to places like Mauritania or Yemen, they hardly do the rational proofs. There's no kafir out there questioning their faith. The guy will live in Tarim and die in Hadramaut, Yemen, probably never seeing an atheist in his life or a Christian in his life that will throw something at him of a doubt or anything. He won't see it. So what does he need that for? They don't need it. So when we talk about here, he says, Ya bunayya la tushrik billah. Learning Tawheed in learning Nubuwwah, all doctrines related to prophethood, it's one and the same. It's part of Tawheed. You cannot let's study Tawheed and everything about Allah, and let's not know anything about the Prophet. We don't need to know. No. Because the next command is Salah. How are you going to even know how to pray without Nubuwwah? Therefore, what is the root of a successful education in Nubuwwah? Well, the root of that is the honoring, respecting, ta'zeem Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's not just going to go straight to love of the Prophet. No, first respect to the Prophet first. Love has to exist on respect. You can have love and no respect. It's true. You can have love and no respect. You can love a cat or a dog. You don't respect the cat and dog, right? You cannot have true love and ta'zeem without respect. So respect is the most important thing. I always have this debate with people all the time. They say to me, we want kids to love the masjid. I say, you're making a mistake. You want them to respect the masjid first. You can build love on respect. You can build love upon respect. If there's no respect, you cannot build the correct love. Okay? It won't be love then, if you're allowed to disrespect something. So respect comes first. Ta'zeem al-Rasul. How does that happen? Majalis of hadith are to be treated they should be treated with sanctity. Cannot have majlis of seerah or hadith that is just casually, I'm sitting and... No. Majlis seerah or hadith has to have respect. Anytime the Prophet's name is mentioned, Imam Malik, he said, Ja'far as-Sadiq used to stop any joking that he was making and laughter and recite the salah and salam on the Prophet ﷺ and continue speaking about the messenger in a respectful manner. So, hada ta'zeem. That's part of learning Tawheed. Next he says, aqim as-salah. And any child, you want to have a good kid, ingredient number 2, you make sure he prays. And prayer, it can never really come by itself. Prayer, to pray well, always comes with a greater environment of dhikr and dua. Now, the person who prays his obligations well, it's someone who does all the other things. Now, they remember Allah outside the salah. They remember they make dua all the time. Okay, they try to stay on wudu regularly. So it really comes with a lot. You can't possibly have someone who prays perfectly the 5 daily prayers, but no other remembrance of Allah throughout the day. It just doesn't happen. So salah has to be number 2. Well, how do we do that? Well, usually it's encouragement when the kid is small. Encouragement, and then praising them if they sit in the prayer, and then it's making sure they actually stand still in the prayer once they know how to follow instructions, and then they should be standing with their family in prayer at age 7. By age 7, you had all this year to work on it, all these years to work on it. And the family, if they pray in jama'ah, you'll see the kids know how to pray, right? That's usually how it works. And by age 7, they should be joining you in the prayer, so that once they hit age 10, they pray. And usually they're going to reach bulugh around, maybe the girls before and the boys after. So that hitting bulugh is not the starting point of their prayer. They already know how to pray well before that. Then when they're in middle school and high school, their friends got to be people who pray. We're talking about the ingredients of a good kid, according to Sayyidina Luqman. Actually, that should be the title of this thing. Can you change title in the middle of the stream? Oh, okay. Friends who pray. This is the best thing. I was happy to see some of these kids who actually influenced their friends to start praying. Some of them didn't pray. They influenced them. And they're good, checks on their friends who they may have upbringings that don't lend to this, right? Another kid does. They all the time say, "There's no. What are you getting up and making wudu and praying with us? There's no way you have wudu. It's been like 5 hours. We know you, right? We ate. We did all this. There's no way you have wudu." So you know how these kids are. They don't have the same filter as adults would. It's good. Get them, encourage salah. Now, number 3, and this is if the first 2 are done right, the third should fall easily. The third domino should go with it. And that is, وَوَصَّيْنَا الْإِنسَانَ بِوَالِدَيْهِ. We advise the human being to be about their parents. And if you notice, what we have here is the advice, the subject of the advice, which is the human being, and the object of his advice, the parents. But it doesn't say what. It means there's so much, right? We advise you to your parents. It really means here, like, everything good. You owe your parents everything good. وَوَصَّيْنَا الْإِنسَانَ بِوَالِدَيْهِ. And it leaves it blank. Okay. حَمَلَتْ. Now, what's one of the reasons? Because your mother carried you. حَمَلَتْهُ أُمُّهُ وَهْنًا عَلَى وَهْنٍ. And this is another description or indicator that your mother is the one who carries you. Even if the genetic material came from another woman, it doesn't make a difference in Sharia. By Islamic law, it doesn't make a difference. The woman who carried you and whose stomach you came out of, that's your mom. Doesn't make a difference about the genetic material in Islam. Wahnan ala wahn. Hardship after hardship. In the pregnancy, she's exhausted. After the pregnancy, she's exhausted. You could probably debate which is more exhausting, the pregnancy or the first year after the pregnancy. The pregnancy, she's completely uncomfortable. After the pregnancy, she's never sleeping. Which is worse? It's a woman, a mother without help, without her mom or other helpers. It can literally drive people crazy. And that's why women do have what they call postpartum depression. And they do things that they would have never, ever done in their right mind. That's true. If you don't sleep well for week after week after week, and those weeks turn into months, and the months start stringing themselves together, you could literally go into a la la land. You go crazy. Then postpartum depression, they have that. And sometimes the moms kill their own kids. Right? So it's shidda ba'da shidda wa da'af ba'da da'af. Okay. It's non-stop. Hardship after hardship after hardship. Especially if she gets pregnant again. What they call Irish twins. Immediately, as soon as she could hold a baby again, she got pregnant again. And this is another thing that drives some women crazy, is the back-to-back. So now I have 2 kids screaming like this, and one kid can harm the other, and they never sleep at the same time. Now, this will drive a woman bonkers. It'll drive her husband bonkers too. So you need help. And women who don't have that help, this is what Allah is saying. Shidda ba'da shidda, hardship after hardship. وَفِصَالُهُ فِي عَامَيْن. when that child becomes no longer feeding off the mom, it's 2 years. So Allah tells us in this ayah, it's 2 years of nursing. After that, he should not nurse from the mother's breasts anymore. He should eat and drink on his own. أَنِشْكُرْ لِي وَلِوَالِدَيْكَ إِلَيَّ الْمَصِيرُ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, thank me and your parents. Okay? Thank me and your parents. What's the role of the father in all this? He has to support all this. She can't work while she's doing all this. He has to support it. And he should support her in this society that we live in. You're not all going to have your in-laws and sisters and moms all around. She may have nobody. It may be that nuclear family, which to me is it's nice in terms of the independence, but you do need some outside help sometimes. But let's say you don't. In that case, he's got to pitch in or else she's going to go crazy. When is she going to sleep? Sufyan ibn Uyayna says, Man salla salawat al-khams faqad shakar Allah. The 5 prayers is your thanks to Allah. And whoever prays for his parents after every salah, that's how you thank your parents. That's Sufyan ibn Uyayna's tafsir. Now, what happens if my parents are no good? وَإِن جَاهَدَاكَ عَلَىٰ أَن تُشْرِكَ بِي. Allah is telling us, if they fight you, they exert effort to make you a pagan again. مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ عِلْمٍ, which has no certainty to it. In other words, Allah is criticizing all of their theologies and fake beliefs as being just imagination. There's no certainty to it. You're just guessing. Okay? All these other... Ilm here means yaqeen. You see in the books of ilm, books of knowledge, the phrase yufidul ilm means yufidul qata', yufidul yaqeen. Right? It produces certainty. So, ma laysa laka bihi ilm. There's no certainty to this. There's guessing. They're guessing. فَلَا تُطِعْهُمَا. A command from your Lord, do not obey them. وَصَاحِبْهُمَا فِي الدُّنْيَا مَعْرُوفًا. So what do I do if I don't obey my parents? Okay, is your whole life deen? No, there's dunya. There's dunya. So be a good companion in the dunya. Okay? Do things, worldly things with your parents. Leave off religious discussion. Do worldly things with your parents. Some people enter Islam and they're so full of zeal. That's all there is in their life. So when you deal with non-believing parents, you don't want to put them in such a situation that would actually make them disbelieve. Okay. You want them to put in them a situation where they're observing you, but they're not actually on the defensive. They're not feeling awkward about it, because that may lead them to proactively deny you and your new religion. So he says here, صاحبهما في الدنيا معروفة. Be a good companion in worldly things. You eat together. You have old bonding things that you used to do together. You shouldn't cut those things off. Shouldn't cut those things off. Brother wants to go study and he comes back and he doesn't do the things he used to do with his dad. Well, that may cause your dad to hate the deen now. So you should do those things. Go to ball games? Yeah, go to ball games. You just came from, the sacred experience, studying and doing all these wonderful things. Now you're going to go to Yankee Stadium? Yeah. I mean, if that's what your dad does, nothing wrong with that. Now you make the intention to create a bond with your dad and keep that bond up. Or with your mom, you used to watch movies. Lifetime. Remember that channel? Oof, that was brutal. That channel was brutal, right? Lifetime, it's movies for basically depressed women, right? No, that channel was brutal. I wonder what happened to that channel. Terrible movies, the worst, okay? But if that's what your mom's watching, خلاص. Make the intention. هذه صحبتي في الدنيا. As long as it's not doing something haram. That's the key. وهو البر والصلة والعشرة. عشرة, good living. Live nicely with them. Be pleasant in the house. I know it's hard for people with their parents because parents and kids are always at each other's throat. A lot of times, I should say. وَاتَّبِعْ سَبِيلَ مَنْ أَنَابَ إِلَيَّ. Follow in religion. Do ittiba'. مَنْ أَقْبَلَ إِلَى طَاعَتِي. Whoever is obedient to me. Follow them. Be like them. You need friends. Step number 4. Ingredient number 4 to having a good kid. Good religious mentors or role models. تبع سبيل من أناب إلي. Right? من أناب إلي. Follow those, and that's going to be the Prophet in the first generation, and the Sahaba in the second generation, and the scholars of the Tabi'in in the third generation, and so on and so forth. So that's ingredient number 4. ثم إلي مرجعكم فأنبئكم بما كنتم تعملون. إشارة إلى ذكر الموت. We can say ingredient number 4, number 5 is the remembrance of death. And this is very maturing to young people to attend funerals, to attend janazas. I see it. The young shabab, high school, middle school, college, they attend a couple janazas, they attend a couple funerals. Start thinking. They start thinking, right? They start contemplating. Life is short. It's going to be us one day, especially if one of their friends dies, especially a young person dies. Recently, we had a young person, Miskeen. May Allah give him Jannah. They stayed up until Fajr. They were tired on the way back. They had an accident. One lived and one died. I'm more afraid for the one who lived. How's he going to live with himself after this? How's his parents going to live with themselves? Poor kid stayed up all the way till Fajr. I mean, these are wonderful kids doing wonderful things. You would want sons like that. But they got sleepy after Fajr, and he crashed his car. Poor kid died. But inshallah, it's like, what was his last deed? Think about that. Salat al-Fajr in Jama'ah. After a night of i'tikaf. This is a death the parents they're the ones, those parents that need to be consoling the kid who did it. Because those parents, your son just passed his test and he's going to go to Jannah. Inshallah ta'ala, we say that out of dhann, not yaqeen. Allah knows. But we can say it out of dhann, out of speculation, out of hoping too. It's a hope to those parents. You should be celebrated. You must have done something good to have such a good kid, that Allah ta'ala chooses him. The last deed you're going to do is i'tikaf in the masjid. Then you're going to pray Fajr in Jama'ah. Then you're going to go to Jannah after that. And when we say Jannah, obviously there has to be resurrection. But in the Barzakh, there's a Jannah. The Barzakh could be a place of like a small garden of paradise. It's amazing. You feel bad for the driver. And that may be a kafara for the rest of his life. I mean, he's going to carry that weight for the rest of his life. But really, I don't want to say he shouldn't, right? But really, think about it. It's not a very great thing happened if you look from the otherworldly perspective. I know it's always easier to say it than when it's not you, right? If it's not your kid, it's easy to analyze things like that, of course. So, but we have to also, what is the point of وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ? To give people sabrs by reminding them, where'd your kid go? Would you rather him keep living and then Jannah and Nar are 50-50 because he's got to have the trials of life? Or would you rather right now, you get a ticket, you go straight to Jannah right now, and you don't get to live the rest of your life? Why would you want to care about the rest of this life? This life has nothing to offer if you go to Jannah in comparison, right? In comparison, you're not missing out on anything. You're missing out on a bunch of headache. That's what you're missing out on. A bunch of headache. And trials and tribulations and all that. If I was to see those parents, that's the consolation that you give them. And I'm sure they know better than this. They're the ones who went through it. But the remembrance of death is something that it should not be hidden. Shouldn't be hidden from kids. But what is death for us in the first place? It's of the body, not of the ruh. Ruh, it continues to live with its intellect, with its self-identity. How did the scholars deduce what the ruh is? Well, as I said, they deduced by the absence of, by seeing what is absent when a person dies. What is absent when a person dies, firstly, their body goes cold. Therefore, they deduce that the ruh has warmth. The body becomes dry and it dries out completely. Therefore, they deduce that it has moisture. Hence, they said, if we could say anything about the soul, maybe we could say it's a warm vapor that infuses the whole body. Well, what does that warm vapor contain? What is lost when a person dies? The selfhood is lost. The selfhood. If I bring you, if James dies and I bring you the body of James, do you refer to it as the body or as James? It's the body, right? In all cultures, we don't refer to the body as James, right? We refer to the body as the body, the jutha in Arabic, or the body, or the carcass. Not a carcass for animals, right? All right. So we don't refer to the body as James. So therefore, the selfhood of the person. What else is with the selfhood? If I was to take the brain out and plug it in somewhere else, or take the heart and put it into someone else, does that person become James? No. So the consciousness, does that person now, if I was to take that brain and put it into somebody else or hook it up to a computer, will all the memories download? Of course not. Nothing. That's just a bunch of fat. After a person dies, the brain is just a bunch of fat. Isn't the brain made of fat? Last I checked, it's made of type of fat. You can look that up. So the memories, the consciousness, the thought, all of that is of the ruh. I got it right. The brain is primarily made of fat. 60% of the composition. So itlaqul kulli bil ghalib. What is this, right, Omar? So الجزء للكل إطلاق الجزء للكل. So another thing is that what about kids who are mentally ill? A boy who's, what about them? Their ruh is intact, but the mechanism by which the selfhood, memory, thought, consciousness could potentially express itself is broken. So when that person dies, their ruh is not a disabled ruh. They're not mentally disabled. Only their physical brain was, or their physical nervous system was, or what have you. So therefore, it couldn't translate. Same thing. If I have a camera and I'm recording this, and I'm able to watch it on the screen, and someone comes and throws a rock at the screen, and so you start seeing a pixelated image, a shattered image. That's not what's recording. The recording is going to be just fine. It's only this mechanism by which I'm seeing the recording that's broken. Same thing with the children or people who are majnoon, or they lose their memory, they get hit on the head, they're insane, they're disabled mentally. Only the jihaz, the mechanism that expresses the ruh, is faulty. The ruh itself is not faulty. So that's good news for someone who has mentally disabled, mentally ill. When you treat them and they don't know how they're being treated, be careful of that. They could be shown that on the Day of Judgment, and they will be totally fine people on the Day of Judgment. And immediately, as soon as they die. As soon as they die, everything is going to be fine with that person. The moment he's free from the body. So death for us is not to be taught, it's to be taught properly. It's merely the transfer of the ruh from this abode to the next abode, which is either very nice for you or very bad for you, depending on how you were in this abode. Like when you graduate college, and one guy studied accounting, and another guy studied 15th century French art, and you graduate. The next day, who's going to be better off? Who has more prospects that's going to have a better year after graduation? No doubt about it. The guy who studied accounting. He can go get a job at KPMG or one of these places, and he'll have an income. That income will build another thing, which is probably maybe an apartment, a car, a marriage. What about the guy who studied French art? What's he going to do? Not much prospects. Same thing. You live well in this life, you die, you're going to have wonderful prospects in the future. In the barzakh. Rewards. Amazing things. The recitation of Quran, the reward of reciting Quran comes to you as a person. And you're like, whoa, who's this wonderful person keeping me company in the grave? I'm your Quran. Another person goes, what were you? I'm your fasting. Oh, keeping it's wonderful. You're keeping me company here. Okay. The ruh has no age. Bodies have age. Bodies have age. And hence, when we get placed into a body on Yawm al-Qiyamah, it's the age of 33. Meaning the perfect age. Not, you're young, but not immature. The perfect age of the body. So arwah do not have ages to them. That's why always when you see old people, you have to give them these reminders too. To be given these reminders too. That it's going to be good for them. This rotten old body that's giving you all these aches and pains, it's leaving you. No, you're leaving it. Don't worry about it. Okay. So dhikrul maut for youth, because once you plant it in the heart, when the soil is still fresh, it could settle. We're going to close here. We'll do some Q&A, and then we'll talk about more things Sayyidina Luqman ingredients. The next ingredient, which we're not going to talk about now, we'll talk about later, is that Allah has knowledge of all things. That ingredient, and Allah alim. We all know He's alim, but do we think about it all the time and remember it all the time? All right, what is the ruling cleaning electronics such as phones and earphones if it had contact with a dog? Says Albert Rick. Albert Rick, it depends on the school of thought, because the four madhabs, one of their points of difference is the ruling on the dog's saliva. It's only the Maliki school that holds that the Prophet's commandment regarding dog saliva is for health purposes, not purity versus najasa. So you must wash it and scrub out the saliva. In particular, if he licks your bowl. For example, he licked my jeans. My jeans are not going to come near my mouth, ever. He licked my shoes. My shoes aren't going to be. The Prophet's hadith is if your dog licks your bowl that you eat out of. So particularly for hygiene in what may enter your mouth. That is what the Prophet said to clean. 7 times once with dirt is a kinaya. It's not put it in the washing machine, then take it out, put it back in, then take it out, put it back in. No. It's scrub it hard. There should be soap. There should be something rough side of a sponge, etc. That's in the Maliki school. In the other madhahib, they do deem it najas, and therefore you need to purify it. Now, how do I purify it without water? Because it's an electronic item. My dog licks my iPad. What do I do? So, tahara, purification, can occur through something dry as well. Istijmar. Istijmar is, they used to use stones to clean themselves in the old days, to remove the najasa off of them. Omar, tell me, how is tahara attained in the Hanafi school? With dry, with wet, and with fire, correct? With pure water or with fire, correct? So therefore, it suffices you to simply dry your laptop or your iPad or your phone with something dry. Because if you use something wet, you ruin your phone. What is the ruling on taking weight loss drugs like Ozempic? They work by reducing your appetite. And some try to get it prescribed before Ramadan. I can't tell you because I don't know the side effects. Omar, why don't you look up the side effects of Ozempic? Yeah, this is the big deal these days. Ozempic side effects: nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, stomach pain, constipation, upset stomach, heartburn, burping, gas, bloating, loss of appetite. Well, that's the purpose, not the side effect, right? Runny nose, sore throat, stomach flu. But it doesn't tell us what percentage, right? Tiredness, low blood sugar. Who knows what else is in here? Kidney disease. Ozempic is approved by the FDA for, reducing kidney disease. Yeah, Ozempic is the big deal these days. However, stomach or gastrointestinal side effects are common but mild, and they clear up in a few weeks in most people, and it will not interfere with long-term treatment. The most common one is nausea. 15 to 20% of all people got nauseous after taking Ozempic. These side effects occurred at rates higher than the placebo-treated groups. Stomach side effects occur early in the treatment. Ozempic face, interesting, is a term used to describe the noticeable facial changes, seen in some people. What kind of facial changes? Like Conor McGregor's new face, full of steroids? These changes are not a specific side effect, but rather a result of weight loss. What are some of the more serious side effects that happen in less people, but they're more serious? Inflammation of the pancreas, vision changes, low blood sugar, kidney problems, allergic reactions. Get emergency medical help if you have any allergic reaction, dizziness, etc. Man, I don't know how I feel about these things. Remember I said yesterday, I like the stuff that has one ingredient. I don't know about all these drugs. But trial and error. Let's see all the people doing it first, and then we'll see what happens. Yeah.
My husband divorced me and I ended in the iddah. Can I still make dua to reunite with him? I can't give up on dua. What's the end point of dua?
Well, your mic was on, right?
Yeah.
So, sister, if you're in that situation, you also could be proactive. So you can possibly... No, let me say something. You can be proactive, but you don't also want to be someone who runs after her husband. I guarantee you it's not going to work. I don't think it's going to work, right? Unless he's a really nice, soft guy who would be touched by that. You got to be the judge of that. But he may also have the opposite reaction. So you can possibly take advice on how to take action in getting him back. Okay. Tran says, you make dua for 10 million, why don't you get it? You make dua for $10 million, you have to act upon it. Let me ask you a question. The reason you're not getting it is because you haven't acted upon it. Well, what's the action upon it? Well, let me ask you a question. How many people do you know have $10 million sitting in their bank account? Let me tell you, if you're a Muslim, if you're an American Muslim, there are guys in your masajid who have that. No problem. $10 million, not even a lot of money, according to some people. It's not. If a person makes 20 million a year, how do you think we have billionaires in the community? Which we do. If a guy's got $100 million, how do you think he gets that? It's 10 million a month, and he spends a whole bunch of money each month. 10 million a year income. So, Tran, my question to you is, did you do what it takes? Did you get a mentor who has $10 million who can show you the route, to show you the way? And did you listen to him? Your dua for $10 million must be coupled with action. And the action is go to the people who have achieved what you're trying to achieve. Find the right one who will give you time and will train you and do what he says. Or she. Could be a she. Please do ask my question from... Okay, I'm very sad and depressed, despite doing dhikr and everything. Don't ignore it. My question is long. Okay. Okay. The answer is that dhikr is not the only thing that would remove a person from depression. You may possibly do a lot of dhikr, but also negate it by bad habits that will negate your dhikr. Just to give you one thing that makes people sad and depressed is what we talked about yesterday. Your sleep is off. So let me ask you, young man, do you stay up really late and then sleep in? This is the number one source of depression, in my opinion. Do you eat a bunch of junk or do you eat good food? Do you go to the masjid and hang out with people and say assalamu alaikum and smile at people? Try this. Go into the sun. Go into nature. Go to the masajid and smile at people. Say assalamu alaikum. See someone miskeen? Put $20 in his hand. Go out to any restaurant that you go to, and the guy who does the dishwashing and the guy who's picking up the dishes, do you think he makes good money? He doesn't make good money. Go to that type of person and slip him $20, $10, $5. Listen, if a guy came and put $5 on my table, I would be happy, right? That's I can go and burn it on some food that I would otherwise not have purchased or something, or a snack or something like that. Any thing that makes someone happy, right? So don't belittle even $5 sadaqah. Guaranteed, if you're behaving like this, not just dhikr, you have to do these other things. What's your status with your parents? Do you know that dhikr is, you could take the dhikr and throw it in the garbage if you're making your parents unhappy? If you made hajj, yet you ignored your parents, take your ibadah and throw it in the garbage. This is what the Prophet tells us. Man worships Allah all day. At the end of the day, he came and he made his mother frown. Allah took all his ibadah and negated it, turned it into bad deeds. Then you don't know, who are you worshiping if you're going to behave like that when he commanded you to something more important? Dhikr is nafila. Obedience to being goodness to parents is fard. I can't see how a person would remain depressed if he sleeps well, goes be good to his parents, go to the masjid, say assalamu alaikum and smile at people. You don't have to shake hands even. Wave. Not even wave. Assalamu alaikum, smile. That's it. 2-3 people. Go to a nearest restaurant or someone collecting trash, slip $5 in his hands. Eat healthy food. Get some sun. Inshallah, you will not be depressed. So it's just not dhikr alone that is needed. Okay. Allah says, do not covet something in which Allah has made some of you superior to others, but you said no dua is impossible. How do I reconcile these two? So that means don't covet that specific thing. Okay? So, and be happy for that person. So let's hypothetically say your peer, your colleague, he got a head of a division job, head of the department of surgery, and you did not get that, and you're working a lower level medical job. So do not covet that specific job. Say, alhamdulillah, let him be happy, let him have it. Covet something similar to that. Don't try to take it away from him. And you could say, oh Allah, someday I want that job, but I don't want him to lose it. That's the key. That's how you bring the two together. You don't want him to lose it. I don't want to take it away off his plate, even if I want that same job someday. Yeah, I want that something, but in a lawful way, not by hasad of this guy. A lot of good questions here. I think tomorrow we're going to have to do the bulk of it has to be Q&A because there's a lot of good questions here. How can a convert have forbearance with his parents while still protecting his wife from their behavior? Yeah, you can keep your wife distant from them. That's okay. To be distant from somebody who's abusing you is lawful. It's okay. Okay. And they hurt her subtly. They don't have to be in the same presence all the time. Your wife doesn't have to be in your parents' presence all the time. She has to be nice to them, polite to them, but she doesn't have to be stuck to them. She doesn't have to be there all the time. You do, maybe. You owe more to your parents than them. None of my dua gets answered. How do you know that? It hasn't come yet. Maybe you have to have sabr. So I stopped doing dua. That's why it doesn't get answered. And it says, I'm a woman. Okay. Remember, the Prophet ﷺ said, dua will be answered as long as you don't rush it. What is rushing it, O Messenger of Allah? Saying, I tried and it didn't work out. So the sister, Yadhud, needs some support. She needs the optimistic mindset. And you need a wird of saying positive things. I can guarantee you, when you speak positively, did not Allah say, وَمَا بِنِعْمَةِ رَبِّكَ فَحَدِّثْ? Yes. مَا بِنِعْمَةِ رَبِّكَ فَحَدِّثْ. When Allah blesses you with something, speak about the good. Even if it's not there yet. No, this future is going to be amazing. This organization is going to be amazing. This job is going to be amazing. This next year is going to be amazing. You have to speak with that tafa'ul. It's in your mind, it's a dua, right? You got to speak like that. It's one of the meanings. And you cannot stop. But it's holistic. There's a lot of things involved. And just rewind a few minutes of the things that I mentioned. Do I need to have a comprehension of seerah before studying Islamic sciences? Well, aqidah and fiqh should be studied. You don't delay aqidah and fiqh because you haven't read a lot of seerah. Can we pray maghrib at home in order to break our fast with our family? Yeah, no problem. But praying maghrib in the masjid is better. But if your family cooked the food and it's going to get cold. How do I refute the person's statement, what the guy told me above? This is the last question we'll do. Abdul Quddus, he said, the answer to moral good via don't do unto others what you wouldn't want done unto you. That's easy because someone says, okay, I don't mind if you do it to me. I don't mind if you do it to me. The communists believed they had a morality. And they want people. They want the communist state to take their property and distribute it according to communism. They want that. And the capitalist mentality is the total opposite. So you're going to have a clash. Guaranteed clash. Ladies and gentlemen, a lot of good questions. I wish I could take all of them, but we got to run. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر والسلام عليكم